So you want to get your first 10,000 customers on Shopify. Look, the reason why I'm making this video is because I spent so long sitting, studying, working, learning, losing money, the stress of doing everything myself, just trying to get the information on how I can scale my business. And the reason why this 10,000 number is so special is because at that point, you know that you've got something special. You know that you've got proof of concept. And I know for a fact out there's so many brand owners that are in this hamster wheel of hard work, and because they're seeing a few sales, maybe just a few thousand orders, a few thousand customers, they think that they're making progress. But it's a scary place to be when you focus on the wrong things for a long amount of time and you've done all the work, but you've not gotten to where you want to be. Now, this is the same position that I've been in. And I know that a lot of people are struggling with this. So if I can help one person save a lot of time and make a lot of money in the process, this full video will genuinely be worth it for me. And that's the reason why I'm making it. Because this is the difference between having a side hustle and an actual business, right? And the fastest way to get 10,000 customers, it's really not what you think. It is really not what you think. The harsh reality is what's going to get you your first 100, 500 or 1,000 customers will not get you to 10,000 customers. Now, the reason why I made this is because I made a video about getting your first K customers, right? The video did pretty well. I had a lot of positive feedback, a lot of personal messages from it. And the truth of the matter is, if you want to go from 1,000 to 10,000 or a few thousand to 10,000, you really have to level up your skills as an entrepreneur, especially in e-commerce. There's a lot more strategies that you have to do, but believe me, you can do it, right? I went from a market trader, no work experience, no experience in running my own business, a young kid, just hungry, to actually doing it myself in just a few years, right? So anybody can do this, but you've got to know what to focus on. And hopefully by the end of this video, I'm going to be able to point you in the right direction and you will get a lot of value from this. I'm not being over dramatic when I'm saying this is probably one of the most powerful videos I've ever created. Now, believe it or not, getting your first 10,000 customers, this is not about the money. It's good. The money's good, right? The money gives you the ability to hire people. It gives you the ability to grow your business. And obviously it can give you a better quality of life. But the important thing is not about the money, because the real power is the customer data. You see, if you're an e-commerce brand on Shopify, right, and you're within your first few thousand customers, you're actually sitting on a gold mine of data. Using it right can actually help you grow faster, smarter, easier, and more profitably, which is most important, right? Here's what most Shopify brands just do not realize. Okay, so 90% of e-commerce brands doing over $500,000 a year in revenue aren't actually relying on paid advertising alone. Now, this is a trap that I see a lot of brands get caught into. They actually have systems, and they have systems that drastically reduce how much they actually pay to acquire customers. So your customer acquisition cost, how much you're paying to get customers, is way less. And they actually do this while scaling consistently. Now, the reason why you can do this, because the lower that your customer acquisition cost is, the more that you can spend on ads, the more profit that you make, the more that you reinvest in your business, and just the more profitable that you are overall. So this is really one of the main focuses in this video. And this is going to be one of your main focus points if you really want to hit that 10,000 customer amount. They use systems that most people just simply don't know exist, especially the smaller brands, especially the brands that are struggling. They just don't know about what these higher level brands are doing. Maybe you don't meet any e-commerce entrepreneurs. That was certainly what the case was for me. You know, I had to learn a lot of this information myself. And whilst that's cool and you do learn a lot of information doing it that way, it takes you a lot longer, you waste a lot more money, and it's a lot more painful. And you can substitute the lack of knowledge with a lot more hours worked, but you're playing with your life here, guys. Like, you're playing with years of your life. So you need access to the right information so you can speed it up a little bit, because otherwise you're going to be spending a lot of time on your work and you're going to be living to work basically. And that's not a position that you want to be in. That's not why you start a business in the first place. Overall, your satisfaction in life is not going to be good. So this is going to help you avoid that. And look, I promise you, this is actually very simple to do. Now, it is going to take a lot of effort, but it is very simple to do once you follow what I'm about to share with you. Let me just be clear when I mean anybody can do this. So I'll just take you back a little throwback. This is me working on a market stall at 17, 18. No money, no knowledge, no work experience, right? Didn't know anything about e-commerce and selling online. I knew a little bit about selling online. I used to sell on eBay. That's about it, right? And I started my market stall without any money whatsoever. Never had a job at all, right? I started with £200 that I earned from doing something. You know, I never had a serious job, never had any serious work experience. no funding, didn't have any rich parents to borrow the money from. I didn't take any funding in, and just no work experience. And this is me moving into my first office, and I really started from zero. I know a lot of people love to say I started from zero, but I really did. And I just want to say a lot of people started with less than me, right? I've never gone hungry for a meal. I've never not had a shower every day, right? I come from a good family. I'm not never been homeless or anything like that. I want to make that very clear. But I did start my business with no money at all. Never taken anything off anyone. Never had any real guidance. So this is a perfect example of the fact that anybody can do this. And I'm not being over dramatic with that. And you can do this too. You really can. So I'm going to presume that you're an independent Shopify brand owner with a few thousand customers and you're looking to really take it to the next level. If you're under 1,000 customers, I wouldn't recommend watching this video. This is going to be quite a lot of information for you. I'd go and watch the last video that I posted, and that's going to help you a lot more than this one. But if you're at a few thousand customers and you're looking to scale to that 10,000 mark, this is going to really help you. So as an existing business owner, the thing is, you've already done the hard part. Okay, you've already built a brand that people trust, and most importantly, you've got a customer base that actually trusts you. And by far the strongest lever that you can pull in scaling to that 10,000 customer range is going to be email marketing. The amount of e-commerce content that's online that doesn't talk about email marketing is quite staggering to me. Now, this is probably because most of the e-commerce space on YouTube is about dropshipping, right? A lot of these dropshipping brands, customers are not coming back. Right, so they've got email marketing, but the customers don't want to come back. So if that's the type of business that you want to build, go ahead. But for me, to build a successful business, you need customers coming back and spending more money. And that's what email marketing is perfect for, because you can capture customer data, sell to them multiple times, and market to them a lot more times. So you should be generating 40 to 60% of your site's total revenue through email. 40 to 60%, right? If you're looking at your dash on Klaviyo and it says 20%, alarm bells should be ringing. You're losing money every month. So this is the first point of focus. And this is simply a non-negotiable, right? I do not know a single high-level brand that does not treat email marketing like one of its most important marketing channels, right? I know a lot of entrepreneurs that run e-commerce businesses. Everybody does email marketing at a high level, right? It's one of the most important things that you can do for an e-commerce business, because email is by far the lowest cost form of marketing that you can do, right? For a few $100s, you can advertise to tens of thousands of people whenever you want by clicking a few buttons. You can't name me any other marketing channel that can do that, right? There's none. And targeted messaging as well. It's going to give you the full control over your marketing, meaning that you don't have to pay Mark Zuckerberg, right? You take control of that and you can send the messages when you want, and you own that data, and you can completely automate a huge amount of your business for next to no cost. Now, by automate is going to be a lot of the email flows and scheduling a few campaigns, right? So you've got to think, if you can take your business to generate 40 to 60% of revenue through automations, right? If you're watching this and you were doing what I used to do, ship all the orders myself, customer service, pack the orders, order the stock, pay the bills, show up to work 7 days a week. If I knew about email marketing at that stage, right, my workload would have gone down 75%. So you can actually automate such a big amount of your business. Now, the reason why this is so important in the early stages is because I'm going to take a guess. If you've done 2, 3, 4,000 orders or customers on your website, right, you've probably not got enough revenue to be hiring a team worth of staff. So by focusing on the automations in the early stage, you're not only able to market to your customers for cheaper, but you're also able to make more money with less time to then hire a stronger team to build the real foundation. So that is why you must focus on email marketing. It's so important, guys. And when I started treating my email marketing as one of the most critical assets in my business, it actually unlocked the next level of scale, because I no longer had to rely on paid ads that I couldn't afford as my only sales channel, right? I was no longer in the hamster wheel of everyday business, being fake busy, right? Just doing bullshit tasks to make myself feel good for my ego. And I wasn't stressing that my paid ads aren't working, right? If I'm paying a little shitty agency that's charging me $1,000 a month and I'm spending $1,000 on ads, and they're not really making enough profit, and I'm stressing about the money going out because I'm struggling with my bills, then that's not what I want to be focusing on. I want to be focusing on generating consistent revenue. And that's what I was able to do once I started implementing email marketing at a high level. And let me just break the news to you. Paid ads work, okay? If you're this guy stressing that the paid advertising aren't working and you're turning it off 1 month and then you get into a different agency and you're going through this hamster wheel and you're going on and off and on and off, you are making mistakes. Paid advertising works extremely well. Okay. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Google ads, right? And this was not because they didn't work. The reason why I did this is because my ads were 40% more efficient than most of my competitors, thanks to email marketing. So I wanted to just take you through a cycle that most brand owners, especially independent brand owners, are in, right? So the brand owner will claim, I need more sales. They're feeling frustrated. They're running the business day to day. They think they just need more money, right? Which is kind of true, right? So what they do is they'll go on Fiverr or they'll get their cousin's son or their nephew that has an agency, says he can do Facebook ads, and then they'll blast the money and then they complain that the ads are not profitable. Now, I'll just tell you why this is completely messed up, right? Because if your email is converting 20% of your customers whilst a competitor is converting at 45%, then you're automatically 25% less efficient. And in e-com, this really is everything, right? Your margins are small. Your margins are small, especially with paid ads. And paid ads, they're not some sort of magic trick. There's not some random guy who knows the secret formula, okay? You have to have your e-commerce ecosystem set up with stuff like email marketing to make the paid ads work in the first place. Now, the problem is when you're a small brand and you've only got a small budget to pay for an agency, you're hiring an agency that just needs $1,000, $2,000 in a month. They're just trying to get you, as in, they just need a little bit of cash right now. So they're not going to tell you that you need to have your email marketing set up properly. And they're not going to be able to run that efficient ads anyway. So this is the position that people are in. They're settling for a rubbish agency. They associate the agency with paid advertising as a whole, right? And then they blame the paid advertising platforms based on this shitty little agency they've not paid enough money for and that they've lost money on because they haven't got the email marketing set up. This is what guys do over and over. I see it all the time. I've done it before myself, right? And an agency will just take you on without optimized paid ads because they just want the 2 to 3 months revenue until you built them off, right? And that's the truth of it. And you just need to do the maths on this, guys, right? So if you've got one brand who's doing 20K a month in revenue, okay, they pay an agency $1,000, the ad budget's $1,000, and then an average 2 to 1 ROAS, which is what most e-commerce brands are operating on. The total sales from ads is $3,000. Then you take away your cost of goods, let's say $1,000. Your total profit is nothing. You've not made anything. So these are the guys that are saying paid ads don't work. A second brand, right? Same brand, same industry, same products, same everything. They're doing 20K a month also. They pay an agency $1,000. They've got $1,000 for ad budget. Now the total sales from ads are $4,200. And the cost of goods, $1,000. So the total profit is $1,200. Now the reason why the second brand has another 40% in sales, but they've spent the same amount of paid ads, that is because they are doing email marketing and it's running at 40%. So this is what it can do for your business. Now, no longer you're in this position where you're blaming the paid advertising for not working. You've just got the email set up. Now, the email doesn't cost anything, pretty much. I mean, you're spending $100, $200, $300 a month. It's nothing. For what you get, it's nothing. And when you do this right, email will become your most profitable channel with the lowest cost to acquire a customer, right? Now, the reason why I say most profitable is because the percentage is the most profitable, okay? It doesn't have to be your biggest channel, but if it's your most profitable, okay, the revenue numbers, you need to make a much smaller amount of revenue because much more of it is profit, and it optimizes your paid ads. The second stage that you should focus on is hire where it hurts. Now, you can get to 10,000 customers doing it all yourself. Customer service, shipping orders, content, sourcing stock, managing one member of staff, cleaning the office, vacuuming up, unlocking the doors, setting the alarm. You can get there, right? But you will have no life. Okay? You will have no life. Now, that is not a good trade-off, no matter how much money you make. Okay? I'm talking from experience. I've actually done this. Like the first time I was making what you'd say real money, 10K a month in profit. I know people love to say this. It's a bit cringy to me personally. But when I was 19, I was making that from an e-commerce business. But this was my life, right? I was doing everything myself. I was working 7 days a week. I had no social life. I turned socially awkward because I was working that much. That's not why I started a business. That's not going to give you a good life. And long term, that's going to bite you. Okay? This is not the goal that we were trying to do with these businesses, guys. So look, and I get it, you're in the position where you don't think that you're making enough money to hire someone, okay? And you're thinking that if you do everything yourself just a little bit longer, then you'll be able to hire somebody. Now, this is flawed thinking because you're seeing sales and you're thinking everything's going well, but really it's not, because the amount of time that you're trading for those sales, in a lot of cases, it's not worth it, guys. And over time, this is just going to weigh you down and destroy your hunger for your business. It's going to destroy your motivation. This is not a scalable model, right? That's flawed thinking because it's not a scalable model. You've only got so many hours in the day. You can only do this for so many months. And this is not running a business. This is called owning a job. And I'm quite embarrassed to say I've been in that position before, but I fixed it. All right. And that's what I'm trying to help people do on this. Okay. So if you're watching this, you're in this position, please listen for what's about to come next. And please, before you spend more on stock, just automate what is causing you the most pain. Okay. So if you're drowning in customer service and you're finding yourself being a bit short with customers because you're still doing it yourself, hire a VA, go on Fiverr, hire someone from the Philippines, find an AI chatbot, right? Fix that problem. Now, you might be running a loss in your business. You might be not making any money, or you might be making loads of money, right? But just hire someone to do these monotonous daily but important tasks, because these are things that are going to come bite you on the arse. Really, they really are, right? And if you're shipping orders, hire a minimum wage staff to do it for you. And the marketing, you build automations and pay for help, because the cost of doing everything yourself is hidden, right? You never see what that cost is. That's the scary thing about it. You don't realize how big it is. Now, this brand's email marketing was a complete mess. This is a brand that I've worked with recently, and they were converting next to nothing through email because they're on their own package. All their email flows weren't set up properly. They paid some guy a $5. It wasn't set up right, and they weren't making any money through email, right? But they were still making money in the business, so the focus weren't there. They didn't realize it were there. So they made an extra £7,000 in revenue, okay, in the first month working with us. And this was just by us simply getting their account in working order, getting all the emails being sent out properly, making sure they were on the right package, setting up the most important call flows and doing a few email campaigns. Now, not having this in place, the £7,000 cost over a year is 84 grand. So this is an 84 grand problem. Okay? So if you never hired somebody, never paid for help, right? You're stressing about costs in your business, but some people, I'm not saying this is everyone, by the way, it's really not. Some people have problems this size in the business. And because they don't want to pay and because they're too busy with doing all the themselves, themselves, right? What you're going to find is you could have hired a customer service agent that costs you $1,000 a month, and that enables you to get the time back to then find an £84,000 problem. Now, that is the reality of it with e-commerce businesses. There is so much spill, it is unbelievable. And look, this is underperforming like mad. 10% of total revenue. This is just in the first 2-3 weeks, right? There's so much work to do. This should be doing 40%. But you can see here, it's up 111% compared to the previous period, right? So, really incredible results, okay? And the sad reality is, for most brands, that they have this money, they're just sat in the business waiting to be collected. And this is completely unavoidable, but you have to be able to put yourself in a position to breathe and see clearly and get some advice from people who've actually done it. And look, I'm not saying all this just so you hire me, right? You don't have to hire me. Go hire somebody else. Just get something and somebody to come help you within the business, right? You will make so much money doing it if you find the right people, okay? Now, the stage 3 is building your customer magnet, and this is going to be done through content and branding. This is where everything really changed for us. So you want to not think about content as branding as something that you just need to do, but this is the entire front end of your business. This is exactly how customers perceive your business, how they see your business, okay? Now, they are not going to see how many hours that you're working. They're not going to see the $1,000 a month that you pay for cardboard boxes, right? I've done that before. $1,000 in cardboard boxes is not fun. That's a cost of business that I did not like. They don't see all this and they don't care, right? Why should they care? All they're going to see is your website, your social media content, and your website content, videos, images, and your advertising. Now, when you change these 3 things and how they look, you change the perception of your entire business. And I've done this digitally and mostly for free. You've got tools like ChatGPT, you've got tools like CapCut, you've got tools like Canva, you've got web developers that you can use. There's so much that you can do for free that there's really no excuse for this. You wonder why these 18-year-old kids are making millions doing dropshipping, right? The reason why is because they're so good at creating content and creating front end, creating logos, creating social media content. So their perception of the brand is this massive thing, but what they're selling is actually a piece of shit, right? Now, if you're a small business owner and you've got a good product and you can alter the perception to make it look like $1 million brand, right? But you're actually selling a good product, that is where you see some results. So just understand that from a customer's point of view, if you can make these three things clear and high quality and professional, you can completely change the perception of your business. And this is exactly what we help people to do inside the Smart Acquisition Academy. Shameless plug. Anyway, so you must be clear on what your brand is and who it is that you sell to, your customer avatar. So we stopped trying to sell to everybody and started building a brand that our ideal customer could not resist. Now, here's what most people get wrong about content. They just think of it's about going viral, right? But it's not. It's about attracting the right customers consistently. And our content strategy had 3 pillars. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about a broad content strategy. Now, this is majority through Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and also things like Google SEO, search engine optimization, blogs for the site, and also just any customers that's got any emails, any content that's going out that customers see. Now, the first thing is educational content, 40%. Now, the second thing is how-to guides related to our products. How does X fit? That was one of the best blog posts that I ever had. I personally made tens of thousands in sales from a free blog post on a how does X fit guide. So really look into that, guys. That's just a free marketing method that you can use. And if you've got email marketing with that, wow, you're onto a winner right there. The third thing is problem-solving content for our target audience. The fourth thing is behind-the-scenes content of our process. This is big. Show your brand. This is going to create the brand story. It's going to be especially popular with Gen Z shoppers. The fifth thing is social proof content, UGC content. Sixth thing is customer testimonials, absolutely massive. Transformations, if necessary. Number 7, UGC content. Number 8, case studies and success stories. Number 9, brand story content. And number 10, our mission and values. Number 11, why we started this business. And 12, the problems that we are solving. But here's the key. We optimize for engagement, not just reach. We wanted people that would actually buy, not just like our posts or come shop on the website, right? So we made sure that our branding was in line with providing value, but also making it clear what we sell and what the offer is that we give to the customers. Now, the branding wasn't just about looking pretty, but it was about consistent visual identity across all platforms. So it all matches together so people get a consistent brand feeling, right? And a clear brand voice that resonated with our audience, messaging that spoke to desires, not just features, and create an emotional connection with our customers. Now, the fourth stage is to know your numbers. So 2 days ago, I spoke with 2 brand owners who have a fashion brand local to me. Okay. Now, they were doing 20K a month in revenue, and they're still at a pretty small scale, right? 20K is not that much in e-commerce. Take all the costs off, it's not that much. And I was speaking to them and they were telling me how frustrated they were with the every day-to-day of running their own business. Now, they said they wasn't making enough money, so I asked them, why not just spend more money on paid advertising, right? If you're not making enough money, just up your ad budget. Now, they said there wasn't enough profit from the ads, so I asked them, well, what's your profitable customer acquisition cost? What's your profitable CAC, right? They had no idea what that meant. They never heard it before, and this told me they were completely shooting in the dark, right? If you don't know how much profit that you're making from your paid ads, and if you don't know how much money that you need to make in order to keep the ads running, what can you go off? How can you make any marketing? How can you pay anyone to do any advertising for your business with this information? This also tells me you're dealing with a shit agency that's just taking your money, so you're just adding another cost for every single month for your business. This is going to make it nearly impossible to scale. It's going to make it impossible. You need to know your numbers, okay? And just to let you know, I failed maths at school, right? I was never a numbers guy. Without knowing what I'm about to share, scaling your store is just impossible. It really is. And this is the boring stuff, but this is going to make you money, and a lot of money. This will make you money, and a lot of money, when you get to know your numbers. You don't have to be a numbers person. You don't have to be technologically advanced, but you do need to know these numbers. So let's quickly go through them. And this is going to take you from guessing to growing. So the first thing is your CAC, and this is your customer acquisition cost. This is how much it costs for you to get a customer. Because if it costs you more to acquire a customer than the profit that you make, then you're screwed, aren't you? You're going to run out of money. That's not a business that is working. This will help you understand what areas that you need to improve. Okay. Now, the next thing is LTV, and that's going to be lifetime value. So how much is a customer worth over the lifetime? Now, if you sell a product for $50, but a customer over their lifetime on average spends $150, now you know how much each customer's worth. So if you increase the lifetime value of a customer, you're going to increase how much money you can spend on paid ads, and you're going to know how much money that you can make from that customer. That is how good business is done with e-commerce. The second thing is the conversion rate by source. So you want to find out your most profitable marketing channels. Now, you can use this to improve areas that are lacking or double down on what is actually working. So you want to check your social media, check each platform, check your email, check SEO, check paid ads. Focus on what's working, double down on what's working, and the areas that are lacking, that's the things that you need to patch up also. The next thing is your average order value. So on average, how much do customers spend? If you increase how much they spend, you increase how much you can pay for ads, and you'll reduce your customer acquisition costs. So you're going to make more profit, right? Next thing is your return on ad spend. And that should say ROAS, by the way. For every dollar spent, how much are you making back? So here's how we track everything. Daily dashboard with key metrics, weekly deep dive into channel performance, monthly cohort analysis to track customer behavior, quarterly strategic adjustments based on data. When you know these numbers, you can make decisions like which channels to double down on, how much to spend on customer acquisition, and when to scale and when to optimize. This sounds like a lot. Take notes on this, guys, if you need to. Now, the step 5 is the data analysis. Now, you should make your decisions from your data. And the thing is about data, collecting it is useless if you don't know how to analyze it. And look, this is where most Shopify brands actually get stuck, because they have all this data, but they don't know what to do with it. Now, if you watch this guide, this is exactly what we do to use data. And if you start using these and take some notes, you're going to see some big jumps in your business. So here's the simple data analysis framework that we use. The 80-20 analysis. You want to find which 20% of your products actually drive 80% of your revenue. Now, when you do this, you're going to be able to make a lot more money off a lot smaller amount of products. Study your competitors, and if it's a fashion brand and you're aware of the industry, see what the products are that brand is selling the most of. Most brands have this. The 80-20 rule is perfect to use for your business. So what you're going to find is you're going to find some winning products, okay, within your business that you can scale hard, because most of your sales are going to come from these small amounts of products, okay? Now, when we discovered this, what we discovered was 3 products generated 72% of the revenue, and email marketing drove 35% of sales with only 5% of budget, and 15% of customers were responsible for 68% of revenue. Now, the bottleneck find is you need to find out where customers are dropping off, what's preventing higher conversion rates, and which step in the funnel needs optimization. You want to do this by using stuff like heat maps on your website, looking on Google Analytics, and looking on your Shopify dashboard. Now, the biggest bottlenecks for us at one point was a 67% cart abandonment rate. Okay, so if you've got high cart abandonments, what you're going to find is fix your checkout. This might work, okay? But because we've got the data, we're able to make those improvements. Now, 42% of email open rates, we improved this with better subject lines, okay? Because ultimately, if people are not opening your emails, then they're not seeing the content on it. So it doesn't matter how good your email is. And we found that there was an 89% bounce rate on product pages. So we fixed this with better imagery, showing the products in hand, in use, and showing higher quality photos. And this is stuff that you want to be testing. Now, the next thing is the trend spotter. So we want to see what's improving month on month. In summer, you're going to be selling summarized products, depending on what products you've got on your website. So you can look for the data and look through your past history to find out what is trending in each season. And then you can start catering your marketing towards that. And then seasonal patterns, okay? And look, some of our winning experiments was free shipping threshold that increased the average order value by 23%. So it's like add a product and then unlock free shipping. People feel like they're getting free shipping, feeling like they're getting the product for cheaper and spend more money. That worked for us. Exit intent pop-ups for email. This captured 12% more emails. That's 12% people more going through your welcome flow, 12% more emails you have over a year. That's hundreds of thousands of people that are potentially able to sign up, right? 12% of that is a lot. And product videos actually increase conversions for a site that we worked on. And the key is turning the insights into action. So every week, we're going to identify one thing to stop doing, one thing to start doing, and one thing to organize. And when you start getting systematic, this is going to help you boost from 0 or a few thousand customers to that 10,000 customers. That's some of the most important things. Now, just to wrap up on this video, you might be thinking, that sounds amazing, and I don't have the time to figure all this out on top of what we're already doing. And that is exactly why I created Smart Acquisition Academy for medium-sized brands that have a few thousand orders, that are really struggling and just want to get that leg up and make some results and build the foundation of the site really fast. And inside, you're going to get a complete 5-step implementation roadmap over 5 weeks. You're going to get weekly coaching calls where we work on your business specifically. And you're going to get all the proven templates, scripts, SOPs, email guides, and exact audits on your site and the marketing efforts that we've instructed you to do. And you're going to get direct feedback on your store, your emails, your marketing. This is really a full top to bottom approach. Here's the thing. We're only working with brands that are doing at least $10,000 a month in revenue. That's organic or paid. And the reason for that is because you already need that proof of concept to start seeing some traction on implementing these systems. Okay. So if you're not at that, watch the free content on my channel. But if you are at that, then we might be able to work together. And look, if you come on board, I will personally be helping you. So for that reason, I cannot take loads of clients on right now. So please just bear that in mind. And remember, getting to your first 10,000 customers, it's not about spending more on paid ads. It's about building systems that compound over time, that can be done on autopilot without your interference. And every month that you wait, this could potentially be costing you thousands of dollars a month. It really could. So if you want to click below, you can book a free strategy call with me. Let's get those customer acquisition costs under control and start building some automations in your business and just making things much easier for you. So yeah, I appreciate you watching this video, and I will see you on the inside.